Thank you, Dr. Mike Allen. And also, please, another round of applause for our panelists. Thank you. Special thanks also to the donors and development partners for outlining how they will support the goals and aspirations from today's sessions. There is a lot of funding, a lot of heart, a lot of support for renewable energies to impact our Pacific community. So please, can I have another round of applause for the development partners? Now I'd like to give the opportunity to our co-hosts on how they will bring to life the outcomes from this conference. So now I'd like to invite the EU Commissioner Mimicha to address the audience. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, dear colleagues and friends. Before highlighting some of the key outcomes which I and my colleagues will take home from today's deliberations, allow me to use this opportunity to sincerely thank once again my dear colleague and friend, Minister Macaulay, and his team for the warm welcome and the excellent organization, not only of today's conference, but also of our joint trip last week. We started the joint mission in PNG, and it brought us to Vanuatu, Kiribati, Tuvalu, and then via a brief stopover in Fiji to Auckland. It has been a great journey and rewarding experience. This trip has allowed me to better understand the development challenges that your countries and territories are facing. But at the same time, thanks to this direct contact with you and with your leaders and your people, I have also realized that there are also viable solutions and many opportunities to better work together. On behalf of the European Union and my team, I would like to thank you very much for this, because it will allow us to take the partnership we started 3 years ago to a next level. Allow me to highlight a few important reasons why I am so confident about this. Our joint trip last week and today's conference have confirmed the resilience of the people of the Pacific to achieve progress, notwithstanding the continued climate change threats to which the region is exposed. The energy sector offers a good example in this context. Indeed, the conference deliberations today have confirmed the strong commitment, efforts and progress throughout the region in greening energy systems while fostering universal access to energy through the promotion of renewable energy, especially solar and wind, as well as through energy efficiency measures. Examples and experience in the region, some of which we had the privilege of supporting together in the context of our energy partnership during the past 3 years, confirm the enormous technical as well as investing potential to accelerate access to sustainable energy. To realize that potential, it is important that governments match their sustainable energy policies with adequate resources in their budgets, and that as development partners we work together to make sure that our assistance supports government's priorities and supplements government's resources. The continuation and expansion of our energy partnership with New Zealand in the region illustrates our joint commitment to this. I also want to reiterate that from EU side, our preference is to supplement government's resources with budget support wherever feasible. And experience shows that it is feasible in the Pacific, as we have already demonstrated in Tonga and hopefully soon also in Marshall Islands. The energy sector is an important economic sector, and its greening offers important economic opportunities. Today's conference confirmed the important role that private sector investment can play. I was particularly encouraged by the strong presence of the private sector and investors here. EU is therefore ready to incentivize private sector investments in sustainable energy in the region through our investment facility for the Pacific and support it with additional 20 million euros. Climate change has been a prominent topic and concern throughout our trip and also at today's conference. The climate threat in the Pacific is among the highest in the world. European Union wants to take up the commitments it made at COP21 in Paris and on the Sustainable Development Goals agenda to do more and better to help the Pacific develop in a more sustainable and climate resilient way. And we are especially keen to do so in sectors which are particularly vulnerable to climate change, such as agriculture and rural development. To finish, I would like to come back to a request early this morning by the Prime Minister Sopoaga from Tuvalu and echoed by many others in the plenary and the bilateral meetings I have attended. It is the need to establish genuine and sustainable partnerships, building on ownership, trust for and from all parties. These parties are Pacific countries and territories, including the European OCTs and the European Union, New Zealand, with other development partners, regional and international organizations, financial institutions, and last but not least, with the private sector and the civil society as drivers of the sustainable development. If something came clear from the discussions, it is that the sustainable energy in the Pacific requires joint efforts and that there are roles for all parties to be played. Without further delay, I thank you all for the fruitful discussion and I reiterate the commitment of the Union to support the resilient and sustainable development in the Pacific. And again, sincerely, thank you, New Zealand.
Thank you, EU Commissioner Mimicha. You have been a great co-host. Thank you. I'd like to invite now the Honourable Minister McCulley to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it's been quite a day, ladies and gentlemen. In 2013, at our first Renewable Energy Conference, we put together commitments to spend around about $635 million across a range of projects around the region. And as we've seen the various parties form their partnerships and try and give life to those commitments, that $635 million has translated into something in excess of $900 million worth of expenditure. That's not because of budget blowouts, that's because people could see the opportunity to leverage upwards, they could see the opportunity to be more ambitious, and so we've seen closer to $1 billion than $900 million worth of actual commitments across 70 projects in the region. Some of those are still, as you've heard today, in the pipeline. And today we've had the opportunity to reflect on what the next chapter of the story might look like. And you've heard a range of commitments being made by players in this process in the last few minutes. The headline commitments themselves vary in terms of timetable. Some run out to about 2018-19, others to 2024, but in total there's a bit over $1 billion, in fact a fraction over $1.1 billion worth of commitments across those various actors. And hopefully we will see, as we did last time, the level of ambition grow as the actions are created to follow the words. And this time round, as we've heard today, there is significant opportunity for leverage from the private sector. None of these numbers here reflect that leverage component. And if we can see the private sector engaged in this process in the way in which we've heard people are ambitious to see today, that number will be significantly larger. Add to that the fact that there's nothing in these numbers that really reflects the leverage of the Global Climate Fund, the GCF. I think that in a number of the discussions I've been having around the margins today, people have expressed a high degree of ambition to access that funding for the purpose of fast-tracking these projects and making them more ambitious. And so not only the private sector, the GCF elements provide opportunities for us to grow further. The New Zealand commitment in this 1.1 billion also is 100 million of committed grant funding. That's in deference to the fact that we have an election next year, and we have a tradition in this country of not spending too heavily into the term of the next government, whoever they might be. So ours is a conservative commitment of $100 million, but depending on outcomes here, we might see that number increase just a fraction. So really the important point I wanted to make here is that we have a very solid platform for the second chapter of this story. We have created a base here in the joint commitments that are made for us to be very, very confident that the next stage of this journey can succeed and that we can make it truly larger than we had hoped. It is already clear to me that we will see the goal that we all had for Polynesia of 50% renewables reached sometime in the term of the forecasts that have been made, the commitments that have been made. We will easily pass that 50% mark for Polynesia, which is a significant achievement. As I said in my comments earlier this morning, one of the things that I've been very keen for us to try and achieve here is a base for significantly expanding access to electricity for the very significant numbers in Melanesia who have never known what it's like to receive electricity. And looking behind the headline commitments that you've just heard, it's very clear to me that there are programs committed to today that will take us to the point of delivering electricity to at least 1 million new consumers across Melanesia, with the potential for that to grow. That's about another 10% growth in Melanesia. So roughly 10 million people and about 15% currently with access. Add another 10%, and the sort of programs that we're talking today are hopefully going to be modular and able to be rolled out in a more substantial fashion. So that's, again, we can see the platforms for success in reaching that ambition. So I'm happy to say that we've met our objectives of creating a platform for the next phase. And in saying that, I want to thank my co-host, the European Union Commissioner for International Development, Neven Mimica. You know, when we embarked on this journey, we did so for a reason. We are a small country. We like to play an active role in our region, but only by having a recognised and substantial global player like the European Union on board as co-host could we command the attention and, frankly, the checkbooks that we needed to do what has been done so far and to do what we now need to do in this next phase. So can I say to you, Commissioner, thank you very much for your genuine support for this conference. Thank you for your commitment by spending some days with us on the ground to see how these things work in practice and how our challenges need to be met within this region. and thank you for the wonderful spirit of partnership you bring that helps unite the actors who are in this room tonight. Can I thank all of you who contribute to this process? At the end of the day, we rely on the informal conversations and interactions that exist amongst the multilateral organisations and the leaders who are here to try and add value to this program as we go forward. And it's that spirit and culture that's that's important as much as anything else. And I want to thank you for the genuine spirit of commitment that is here, which I know will follow this conference. Thank you for the focus on the private sector. I think that's been a very notable feature of today and something that we'll all need to work on. I know leaders who are here understand the importance of getting them engaged. So we've had a very successful day. We all deserve to enjoy some of the world's best wine and beer, which awaits us very soon. I look forward to the opportunity to enjoy that with you, and I thank all of those involved in the hard work in putting this conference together, the hard work involved in the consultations about the various programs we've seen announced today. Thank you for what you have brought to what we regard as a wonderfully successful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister McCulley. I won't take any time trying to summarise everything. Minister McCulley has spoken adequately to that. But one thing that I think that we haven't seen and haven't heard throughout the sessions is about great leadership. And great leadership shown by both Minister McCulley and EU Commissioner Mimicha. We thank you for all that you've done to allow for the leverage that has occurred. How can you turn 100 million to 900 million? I don't know, but leadership shown here has allowed that to happen. So please, your hands together for the leadership shown by EU Commissioner and Minister McCulley. Now, Minister McCulley has already spoken about the dinner that's going to happen, so I'm just going to go into those closing elements of the logistics. The dinner will be housed at the northern stand, which is just across the field or Garden of Eden Park. But we're not going to go walk across the field. You've got to go down to level 3 and you walk around. Those of you that want to walk around, there are some golf carts there for those that want to go on golf cart. Please, when you're walking, stay to the middle of the lane because the golf carts will go to the left and to the right. If you have bags at the registration desk, please take them because they will not be here if you come back from the dinner. So with those closing remarks, thank you for a successful conference and enjoy the evening. I too look forward to enjoying a beer with you too. Thank you.